Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Extra. I'm your host Jonathan Khamis, being joined by Dan Albano. Steve Farr couldn't make it this week. We'll see him next week. We're here at Sunny Hills where we did the OCVarsity Gridiron show, but this is the extra show, Dan, and we're talking about some controversy in the playoffs. Hey, it's like this every year, but maybe a special occasion this year. Specifically, Dorado, who was really 0-10. They got one win via forfeit. They made it into the playoffs, and you have the Trinity League schools who are top 10 schools like Servite and JSerra on the outside, and there has been a lot of emotion and involved in this, a lot of arguments, both sides. Dan, what's your take on all this?
You know, there's a lot of different points of view on this one. I see it, you first start with, the forfeits. There's been a lot of forfeits this year, and, I think you got to enforce the rules, and you got to follow the, want to strive everybody to follow the rules and create a as balanced playing field as you want. And that's real important in high school sports. So you have to follow the rules. And Canyon, played with an ineligible player. They should suffer the consequences of that. They got some help from their league. The way they were submitted. They could potentially be the CIF champion in the Southern Division. They might be the best team. They got some help, got submitted, made the playoffs. But and then Dorado, because they played in a very tough league, and then they cross over those games with Crestview League teams. So they have great, games against all the Crestview teams. Their strength of schedule compared to the rest of the Southern Division is off the charts, and they can make it. But then, as we saw, on Sunday as the pairings are coming out, there's teams from like Magnolia that are, bubble teams trying to make the playoffs. They're upset. Ocean View is feeling bad that they didn't get in.
Was it kind of a given that JSerra and Servite were going to make it? Because we've seen the Trinity League year after year get those at-large bids. So was that a shock to you?
I was surprised, and I didn't know as well as, how much, like, for example, Chaminade, how strong is the strength of schedule they had. And, it ended up being surprising for the Trinity League teams. But I think they figured out pretty early on that, some of the chatter that, those teams up in the LA area were going to be, you might beat them out with the strength of schedule. You have a team like Dorado, the coach didn't feel bad. Coach Lamanna didn't feel bad about, moving on his team and, with no wins on the field. But there's other people that are going to say that's not the greatest look for the playoffs. Maybe they, have to have the 500 record back, where you have to have at least a 500 record. But there's a lot that goes into it, and really, too, I think people don't understand, they might just look at the CIF as, hey, this is the CIF doing all this stuff. In the 500, that's a rule that could be, proposed through the council, and it's the leagues that have a lot of power, and the CIF is not going to tell leagues like the North Hills, how to make their entries. So before
a lot goes into this, Dan. I mean, it's a BCS complex system. Come on, you got to know your algebra, and I never got past algebra 2, Dan. Help me out.
There's a lot that goes into it, but it does give us a lot to talk about. But at the end of the day, you want the best teams in there, and you certainly get rewarded for playing strongest teams. So that's Dorado, their association with the North Hills Crestview League really helped them out.
All right, that's it from Dan Albano. I'm Jonathan Khamis, and for all your latest playoff updates, check out OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.